Assalamualaikum and good day I bid to everyone. My name is Husna bin Kamam Bahari and my friends Ahmad Aiman Johan bin Ahmad Azlan as well as Tarshini Lachmanan. Today we are going to explain about the business model canvas. The company that we chose for this assignment is Airbnb. A little background about Airbnb. The company was founded back in 2008. It was just a simple idea from two friends who needed money to pay their own rent. They put together 3 air mattresses and put them up for rent. And then they realized that the idea could go much further than that. To advertise it, they created a website, airbedandbreakfast.com. In March 2009, the company changed its name to the current Airbnb. It didn't take long for the company to grow towards profit. In 2014, the startup added Airbnb experiences to the platform, where people can run tours, go sightseeing, cook, eat, have classes, and do other activities. According to its own website, Airbnb connects people with places to stay and things to do around the world. The community is powered by hosts who provide their guests with the unique opportunities in travel like a local. Basically, it is a marketplace accessed via the app or website, which connects travelers and the host. That is, people who have extra space or underutilized property can earn extra money by renting them. On the other hand, people who need accommodation can rent these spaces directly with the owner, guaranteeing a lower price than those of hotels or real estate that are listed in an agency, and sometimes they can interact with the owners, bringing them closer to the local culture. Next slide is the business model canvas of Airbnb that me and my teammates working on for the past few days. The business model canvas provides entrepreneurs, business owners, and strategists with a tool to analyze, structure, and evolve a business while always keeping the bigger picture front of mind. The business model canvas allows us to carry out a high-level analysis without drilling down and getting lost in the details. You just draw out the 9 building blocks on a blank canvas, fill them in as each concept relates to your business, and hang it up somewhere everybody can see. It's a visual overview of your entire business on a single canvas. Each canvas is broken down into these 9 key building blocks and are recommended to follow each blocks in order. Number 1 is customer segment. Number 2 is value proposition. The third one is channel. The fourth one is customer relationship. Number 5 is revenue streams. Number 6 is key resources. Number 7, key activities. Number 8, key partners. And the last one, number 9, is cost structure.
The first component of the business model canvas is customer segments, which means the types or group of customers that the businesses are aiming to provide their products or services. Generally speaking, under Airbnb, we can divide the customer segments into 2 groups, namely hosts, which are the people that offer spaces to be rented, and guests, whereby they are the one that would rent the spaces. Under the guests umbrella, Airbnb can segment their guests by demographic, which means their gender, marital status, or the amount that they are willing to pay during their trip, which in simple calculation would have different effect on the size and the location of the accommodation. Besides that, their interest, whether they are preferring to stay in the city or escaping into nature, hence experiencing the way of lives of the locals. On the other hand, the segmentation of the host could be done through the types of places that they are offering, such as traditional houses, an apartment or condominium, or a 5-star service hotel. Besides that, the type of location which helps to match with the needs of the guests, whether it might be in nature, the city, or by the beach. The motivation of the host would be beneficial for Airbnb to ensure the availability of the spaces to be promoted, because There might be hosts that listing their spaces just for side income or whilst their family members are not at home, or it might be hosts that are fully dedicating their properties to be rented out for a shorter time. The second component is the value proposition. By definition, value proposition means that the uniqueness of the products or services that would solve the customer's problem would help to sustain the current customers whilst reaching new potential customers. For hosts, the value that they would get by listing under Airbnb is the opportunity to generate additional income, just like what their founders did in their early days of this business. It allows hosts, especially students or low to middle income groups, to utilize their spaces to generate income without the need to find another house for them. Besides that, Airbnb also provides insurance coverage for the host properties and also the liberty to set their own rules for their property, such as no smoking or no parties to be held. This will give the host the confidence that they also have the right towards their own property and minimizing the terms of customers always right. On the other hand, the value of the guest is the ability to experience the way of life like a local. Traveling to other countries especially help us to learn about the culture of the locals, but staying at the hotels sometimes would be restricting the experience as the hotels might be filtering the culture to match with their standards and reputations. Besides that, it provides broader choices to the travelers, especially for backpackers or for someone that wanted to have a family or friends gathering. Hence, the choices of renting out from just small spaces to a bungalow match with their needs of the trip and also their budget.
Next one is channel. Channel is about how they are reaching their customers and through which channels. This includes both the channels that customer want to communicate with them as well as how they're going to receive their products or services. It is going to be physical channel such as store, or is it going to be digital channels such as websites? So for Airbnb, we have 8 in total and it is divided into 2, which are the marketing and sales channels as well as the transaction channels. The marketing and sales channels include word of mouth. Word of mouth is one of the strongest drivers that can help alleviate concerns users may have before the first user. Next is free and ongoing media coverage. Furthermore, digital ad campaigns through Google Ads and social media. Besides that, it also includes referral where they can be rewarded, and not to forget discounts and promotion to attract more guests. For transaction channel, it includes the apps or website where more transactions can be managed through the apps, including planning, booking, payment, and etc. Hosts, on the other hand, can manage things through the site or app.
So, next we're going to see customer relationships. They are important layers of relationship that Airbnb needs to foster. Some of the most important include their relationship is firstly, host and guest. Second, cities, communities, and the broader stakeholder environment around them. Lastly, wider externalities. Airbnb has managed to avoid major fallouts unlike Uber, but they too are facing a lot of resistance in many regions. Firstly, for host and guest, I do think it's fair to say that Airbnb is doing more than most, if not basically all other major platforms, in managing their relationship to guest and host, as well as the relationship among these two crucial groups. Important topics that Airbnb will need to get right for host and guest to feel good about their relationship is firstly, safety, security for both parties, holding their value proposition on hosting and consistency in doing so. Next, supporting an authenticity of the stay. Lastly, respect for the host property and the house rules. Meanwhile, for cities, communities, legislators, or regulators, we need to look beyond the direct customer to understand the impact of platform business models. These business models are an emerging phenomenon with consideration and issues to be resolved. Some examples are neighbors, for example, can report parties and other issues of concern. Being able to solve this kind of issues in a reliable way will help Airbnb considerably. Airbnb has banned all parties after shooting indefinitely. Communities fear the impact of revolving short-term tenancy in their neighborhood or next door on quality of life. Short-term tenants can behave differently in many ways than they do their own home and neighborhood. From this perspective, in a valid concern, this can affect many aspects from noise to other nuisance.
After customer relationship, we have the revenue streams where they describe how they are going to create real value for their customers. Since the pandemic, their revenue shrank by 30% in 2020 and rebounded by 77% in 2021. This is remarkably an increase of 25% compared to 2019. So for the revenue streams of Airbnb includes commission of transaction value, price increases including rental guests up to 14.2%, rental hosts up to 3%, event hosts 20% and hotels 14 to 16%. Service fees, the host cost base is important and rural gas is the highest gas that uses Airbnb compared to urban and suburban guests. Move on to the next slide, which is the key resources, where it all things you need to have or the assets required to create their value for customers. This could be anything from intellectual property such as trademark, copyright, to physical holdings like factories, office, etc., right down to finances. Another key resource every company needs to consider is its human capital. Are you going to need highly specialized software engineers or field-based sales teams? So for Airbnb, we have few key resources that we have found out. The first one is brand. Airbnb brand is crucial and what they stand for. You may see Booking.com, Expedia or TripAdvisor as somewhat interchangeable, but Airbnb is unique and recognizable. All work that has gone into building the brand has been geared toward not being seen as an intermediary but an actual provider of the customer experience. The next one is network effects between the participants, which are hosts and guests, are essential. For network effects to occur, a sufficient large number of them need to be on the platform and of course sufficient velocity of transactions. Next is data assets, which capture user data and other data externally, algorithm, technologies, analytic capabilities and more, skill engineering and other staff including local staff.
Now we're going to see key activity. What is key activity? Key activity is the critical things that absolutely must do to develop and maintain the competitive advantage of the business. And for Airbnb, having achieved considerable scale, there are three types of key activities. Firstly, operational excellence, also known as consistency. Second, continued expansion of the host or guest base. Innovation adoption trajectory. And three, improve existing value proposition and develop entirely new ones. From a platform business model perspective, most of these activities can also be categorized into reduction of search, transaction, or post-transaction cost, as well as enhancing positive network effects while reducing negative ones. For achieve or retain consistency, hotels can deliver consistency because most of the factors contributing to it under their control. With Airbnb connecting two strangers, that is not the case. Hosts don't receive training and at least initially have little experience doing so. As Airbnb grows their user base, they need to make sure that their hosts deliver good value for the price they charge, and they have several layers of requirements and tips. Other than that, the network's effects are often stated as the competitive advantage of platform business. Growing the platform's users base is an important way to further enhance network effects and value propositions. For grown network effects, the more hosts join, the more inventory and choice they for a guest to choose from. This is equally true for stays and experiences. Destination based experience from a valuable complementary offering. But to enhance network effects, the guest side needs to be grown commensurately. Further, Airbnb will require critical mass to sort after locations. Other than that, there are activities around improving existing value proposition and developing new ones. Some examples are Airbnb added new offering ties with Airbnb Plus and Lux. When COVID struck, Airbnb built and launched online experience within an incredible 14 days. The feedback seems so positive that it will likely outlast the COVID period through this difficult and to see network effects to the core. They are working with the large property developers and owners to be able to add multi-home complexes to their inventory, so far with little success. In addition, there are hundreds of ongoing projects and improvements.
The second last component on the canvas is key partners. Key partners are essential for businesses in order to make sure that they can optimize their output whilst minimizing the cost and risk of the business. There are three drivers to encourage businesses to establish a partnership with other organizations. The first one is optimization and economy of scale, whereby businesses are trying to partner with individuals or organizations that would have the need to expand their business. Airbnb allows hosts from all over the world to list their extra spaces, properties, or tour services to make sure that their business could be expanding without the need to actually own those properties or services. Besides that, partnership in business would help to reduce the risk and uncertainty faced, such as for Airbnb, they have partnered with several health and safety organizations to ensure that both hosts and guests inform the safety guidelines and emergency contact and actions during their stay or conducting or organizing any activities. The third driver for partnership is acquisition of particular resources and activity. Airbnb knows that they would not be able to promote their business on their own. Hence, collaborating with technological companies allows them to reach new customers in different regions and countries, managing bookings, payments, and other activities for online bookings and marketings.
Next, I'm going to show you cost structure of Airbnb. In a nutshell, it looks like this. Firstly, cost of revenue. This will include things like insurance, premiums, payment fees, and ongoing IT costs. Second, sales and marketing. This will include advertising to acquire and retain customers who are also considered as hosts and guests. It includes discounts, promotions, refunds, referral fees, and etc. Third, product development. In this, engineering costs, product development, designs, improvement of the platform, and other RDN costs are involved. Fourth, general and admin. This will involve in general management, access, admin employees such as HR, finance, etc., and legal fees and professional services. Number 5, restructuring charges. This includes transformation and the sad episode of retrenching people at the onset of the pandemic that will have heard about it. And sixth, other costs such as expenses, interest expenses. These are not part of the operating profit or loss. So these are the cost structure of Airbnb.
In conclusion, Airbnb is such a unique business because they have two different main parties that need to be focused on. which are the host and the guest, rather than a traditional business of focusing on their customers only, which is good for us in order to broaden our perspective into different types of business to be put in the business model canvas. The business model canvas is a great tool for business because it will help the company to look at a much bigger picture of their business, hence providing a comprehensive understanding of what they are operating currently. The ability to draw a hypothesis from one-page business model is beneficial to minimizing unsuitable decisions to be taken whenever the business wants to expand, because theoretically they could identify whether their action on one component would have a good or bad effect on the other components.
That's all from our group. Thank you.